Hello there, YouTubers, and welcome to another episode of DrCassette's workshop. Today we're going to mess around with a pair of speakers. Now, to keep this video short, I'm just going to show you one of the two speakers, but everything I'm doing with this one speaker, I'll also be doing to the other one. Now, these are some Studiotech Power 90 speakers. I found them in a thrift store and I thought, well, they were looking kind of nice, so just take them. And here they are. Now, of course, when you have the term studio in a brand name, that's basically the ultimate giveaway that the actual item is nothing special or even rather crappy. These are three-way speakers. We have the tweeter, which is sitting behind of a grill, which was typical for early to mid-80s speakers. I have a mid-range and a woofer. Now, the name Power 90 suggests that these are 90-watt speakers. Well, I had a look at the backside of the woofer. You can't take that frame off and then the woofer just comes out. And on the back it said 15 watts, so there is absolutely no way the 90 can be any kind of an accurate watt rating. Another logical way would be that the Power 90 is just a model number, and they are going like 90, 80, 70, and so on. But if that's the case, I certainly don't want to see the model Power 10. Yeah, anyway, basically these speakers aren't too bad. If you have a look inside, the housing is kind of nice. It is, of course, particle board, but it is nice and thick, so it's not absolute garbage. There is no damping material inside, and as you can clearly see, if I manage to turn this around with one hand, which is kind of complicated, there we go. As you can also see, there is no crossover. It's all hooked up in parallel, and there are some small capacitors hooked up in series with the mid-range and the tweeter. Now, these were made in Eastern Europe. You can clearly see because it says Tesla on the back of the woofer, and Tesla was a company in Eastern Europe. Now, Eastern Europe always sounds kind of cheap, kind of bad, but, well, I don't think so. The problem the Eastern European companies, I'm not sure if you can say it that way, Eastern European companies, the problem they always had was that they couldn't get the materials they needed. But the engineers at those companies usually did a pretty good job, so although it's lacking of some stuff, technically their products usually aren't too bad. So this is, as you can see right there, 8 ohms and 15 watts. The magnet is covered up with this plastic, but doesn't seem to be too crappy, this woofer, and does have a rubber surround, so no problem with foam degradation on those. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get rid of the capacitors that are hooked up in series with the tweeter and mid-range, because I found a pair of crossovers. Now, these have been taken out of, I think, a pair of rather cheap early 80s Sharp speakers. They're nothing special, but they were certainly better than those capacitors. I'm going to use this and the other one right there. And the other thing is, typical for cheapo speakers, the cable is just directly going into the speaker and there is no connection. So I thought while I'm at it, I'll also install some proper speaker terminals. Now I have those parts all lying around in my workshop, and this is of course a nice way to finally use them. I'm not wasting any more money on those speakers. Over there I also have some damping material that I'll be putting into those speakers. So let's start and take these speakers apart. I now have the speakers entirely taken apart, and I can definitely say these speakers were not entirely made by Tesla, and I'm not too sure if they were actually made in Eastern Europe anymore. The woofer and the mid-range were made by Tesla, but the tweeter was made by Westra, and that company is located in Western Germany, I think, or was located. The capacitors have a German labeling. As you can see, they do say Tonfrequenz bipolar on there. Not sure if they were made in Eastern or Western Germany, but well, I'm not sure what's going on with these speakers. I now have the speaker terminal in place, as well as the crossover. Have them both hooked together, and just saw that the crossover still has these connectors on it. And that's nice because I can use those to connect the speakers. They do fit. So that makes things a lot easier. So you can see I used some Scotch tape to insulate the terminals of the tweeter against the magnet on the back. Well, the tweeter and the mid-range have been put back into their places. And before putting in the woofer, I'm going to put in some damping material. And there we have the damping material inside of the speaker. And this fit really, really well. As you can see, has almost perfect size, so I could cover up the whole entire back part of the speaker. And the way these two pieces came out of the original speakers was they were sliced in right there for whatever reason, I don't remember, but I could use that to get the cable for the woofer through. And there we have the Studiotech Power 90 speaker all back together. Finally also put on the grill in front of the tweeter. Now what that does is it reflects the sound coming off of the tweeter, and it does have quite a bit of an effect, at least usually. Of course, I have not really tried out this speaker yet. But with this kind of a setup, you may want to experiment how to set up your speakers, because of course the sound is going to be different from this way, if you put the speaker up on top of a cupboard or something, or from this way when you have it all set up on the floor. And here we have the grill of the speaker. Of course, I do have the grill. And now this kind of looks like one of those advertisement labels, but this is the brand name, Studiotech, and then of course the Power 90. I've never seen it being done like that before. It looks kind of funny. Now that is a bit of a fail. The cloth came off of the plastic frame, and for some reason they decided that it was adequate to use hot glue to put it back in place. And that looks kind of crappy, so going to try to fix that. But there you have it. There we have the back of the speaker. There is a new speaker terminal. Now, I couldn't use the terminals that I originally wanted to use, these, because these are, as you can see, they don't have any kind of a real mounting. They are just pressed into the hole and then just held in place by these parts there. And since I didn't have a proper hole saw, I had to use these. And just to prove that I do have both speakers, there they are. The upper one has been modified, and the lower one still has to be modified. As you can see, it's sitting upside down. So there you have it. The Studiotech model Power 90 speakers. Hope you enjoyed this video, and see you again soon.